afternoons, and it's month end, so we welcome senior social worker, counselor, mentor at Islamic Careline, Sister Anisa Moosa. As I mentioned before my break, today we are focusing on the challenges faced by single male parents, and this is in keeping with November being Movember, men's health aware. Well, it's Men's Health Awareness Month, and we raise both mental and physical health issues, and hence we are focusing on the challenges experienced by single male parents. In Sister Anisa, being in the field, no doubt comes across many of the challenges faced by male parents. So if you're a male parent listening out here, Sister Anisa is going to provide you with some sage advice, counsel, and tips. So let me welcome Sister Anisa. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Anisa. Sister Anisa, can you hear me? Okay, let me just get I didn't even say anything today, but I've got Shazia on duty doing controls today. Ziad's off today. I just got into the studio myself, so not sure what is up with Ziad, but I've got Shazi doing it, and she's okay. So I'm out. I'm told you that. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Anisa, and welcome again to our monthly segment of parenting. And today we're focusing on the males.
Assalamu alaikum, salam, Sister Miriam. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I think you lost me for a moment. But we're back on, alhamdulillah. And yes, another month is passed. And yes, we almost near the end of the year. I think there's been so much focus on gender-based violence. It's happening right now. The 16 days of activism, World AIDS Day tomorrow. So yes, we do have a lot of things. Let's not forget about the men in all of this. I know they often feel neglected, and so November has been devoted to them, alhamdulillah.
So tell me, in terms of single father, because since the Children's Act has come into play, we no longer use words such as who gets custody and which parent. It's about your primary residence, and parents have, unless there is an issue that there's a court order that says otherwise, generally both parents have equal access to children, and in fact are encouraged to play a meaningful role in their children's lives, whether they live as a family unit or they live separately, and hence that's why we have the primary and secondary residence, and those words, as I've mentioned, of custody and who's the sole custodian has fall away. So in your experience, what are some of the challenges that are faced by single male parents?
Okay, so Sister Miriam, I think in response to what you just said now, I think what we need always keep in mind, it's not about the mother, it's not about the father. At the end of the day, it's about the interest of the children concerned, right? And when the marital relationship breaks down, the parenting relationship is still a responsibility of the parents. Children have a right to have parents actively involved in their upbringing, in their lives. And I think if parents stay focused on that, it helps a great deal, because then they understand that yes, we couldn't live together as spouses, but we have to find an equitable space in which we can work together as a team to raise our children in the best possible way. And like I said, is the responsibility of both parents. So bearing that in mind, I think when we look at the challenges of fathers, right? Now, again, if two people are parenting, they need to understand sort of competition. We're not going to tug of war. We're not going to use our children for our gain or to prove a point, right? So based on that, when we look at fathers' challenges, some of them include, now this year someone would argue with you that fathers generally shy away from the discipline, and mothers are usually viewed as the ogres, so the ones who scream and discipline it. And when you find the couples are divorced, that happens in a lot of cases more so because where children are living or their primary residence is with their mum, then when they go to the father, then the father might want to, and that's an emotional need to want to gain the children's approval, to want to gain their favor, and so children would look forward to going to the father sometimes because of, the more the social activities, then the primary responsibilities usually that mom is fulfilling, right? Then another challenge that fathers have would be most men have mainstream employment, and so often they struggle to balance the work and the parenting um, responsibilities, especially where there's an absence of a female or a support caregiver to help with the children at home, depending again on the age and the need of the children at that particular time. And then, self-care is, concept that we use a lot in the recent times, especially also in the therapeutic sector. We talk about self-care. And when we work with self-esteem, and we work with self-perception, building perception. So we talk about self-care, but often, that's associated most of women most of the time. And it's not exclusive only to women. So men also have their rights and responsibility to themselves to do self-care. Then I mentioned the absence of support, especially female support. Sometimes for men to raise, let's say, for example, very little girls, how do they deal with that? And then also bearing in mind their rights. So they also have the right to time with their children. They have the right to consent to adoption if a child needs to be adopted. Men also have the right to maternity leave. They also, when men are struggling, there are grants, scholarships available to them. Obviously, a little bit more research needs to be done into those. I think the fact that when parents plus the single parenting is considered to be unnatural. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So there's adjustments that needs to take place. I think the legal processes become very, very taxing financially, emotionally, mentally, even socially. There's a lot of adjustments to all of those. I mentioned it's actually, I mentioned the father needs to prove in a way, and he has to gain his children's favor, especially when they're not living with him. And when I was reading up on it, they referred to it as father wounds. And then in the other obvious thing would be the physical distance that he experiences between him and his children, because most of the time you'll find that their children live with them. So, but this is a quick breakdown of some of the challenges, and we can always revisit them, Sister Mariam, if you want to latch on to any of the ones that I've mentioned.
So some of the this works both ways for the children as well as for the father, because remember, up until a divorce or separation, the family was one unit. Children, irrespective of the difficulties that parents have, it's every child's desire that that unit, as they know, should be there forever. Even you hear adults whose parents divorce when they are in adulthood still struggle. They have now married and moved on, but that familiar, comfortable, when that happens and that separation happens, it affects adults as well when parents separate or divorce. So
Definitely. Definitely. And also, I have to also mention, when you talk about the physical distance, there's also fathers who, let's say, for example, an ex-wife would move to another province. Let's say, for example, you married, I was saying, I'm originally from Durban, and I get married, and then I move to Joburg. I moved to Joburg with my husband, and there's a dissolution of the marriage, and then I moved back, let's say, for example, from Joburg to Durban, live with my parents, because my support structures are there. And then how does the father have regular access to children? He may or may not have the financial means to travel every weekend or even every month, for example. And so that also then hinders the relationship. it breaks down for him because then as the time goes by, you find that there's been long periods and long intervals during which he hasn't seen his children. The relationship is weakened or he's not able to sustain parental relationship with his children. He can't see them, doesn't have access to them. So that's a great challenge for philosophy.
Yes, and something you said very pertinent, that yes, whatever reasons were for the breakup of the marriage not being successful, parents still have a bond. Well, the couple still has a bond to each other, especially when there's children involved, because they need to parent responsibly. And how successful, yes, sometimes it's counterproductive having the children in that unit because it wasn't a healthy environment. But in your experience, can that transition be successful if both parents put their personal issues aside and they parent responsibly? Does it work out, and can a child then be confident in both spaces?
Definitely. I think how a child adapts to a divorce or dissolution is knowing that the parents can still communicate amicably, or that they find security with each of the parents. So when they were their mom, they experience emotional security. When they were their dad, they experience emotional security. And so and also lots of children are torn because they feel like they need to choose between them, their mother and their father. And that's not how it's supposed to be. There's lots of things around single parenting, but also in terms of services. I coach advise parents to up parenting plans. I know people shy away from the legal processes because they feel it gets ugly. It doesn't mean the legal process doesn't mean it's going to get ugly. It means that when you put something formally in place, both parties respect each other's responsibility. I mean, their rights, their responsibilities. Because remember, and their roles. Because when two people get divorced, initially, certain things might be okay and it's informal and we agree verbally, and things change because, for example, either one of the parties decide to remarry. How does that change? Or for whatever reason, that initially, let's just for example, mother would say, okay, you can come to maybe have supper with us, or you can spend time with children in the evening, they can help with the homework. It may not always work. So everything the legal processes are not necessarily related to, it doesn't imply country. It's not synonymous with country. It doesn't have to be synonymous. It
In
just
fact,
means
Sister
that
Anisa, I being having some experience with the family courts in terms of, and also sitting before a family advocate as well as a magistrate in the family court, is in my capacity as a counselor. As you say, the purpose of family courts is to come up with a family plan where the children will benefit and the parents will benefit, and there will be some sort of harmonious relationship, and the children can then interact with both parents, and you have some continuity in terms of parenting. So, as you've said, we look at the legal process where it's not about revenge, it's actually about getting the parents to work together, because both parents then have to sit down, put their differences aside, and come up with a parenting plan, which then has to be made in order of the court, and it needs to be stuck by. So it actually gets the two parents to work together for the benefit of the children. And really, in my personal experience, I would definitely recommend, even if either parent, now we're focusing on males, and if males feel isolated, or as you've said, there's leverage against them by the mother, the father can use this and approach the family court with regard to coming up with a solution in a parenting plan.
definitely, and that is why courts are encouraging most instances they're encouraging mediation. So if people have not had their issues resolved through mediation, then only. So sometimes Europeans are of course they'll tell you you need to have it mediated first. So It's always important. And it just makes life a little bit easier when two people are willing. So like just for example, we do when we do therapy, we make it compulsory for parents to come in parenting sessions. Whether they married people, they're not married. And the reason we do that is because we work with children, and then when we send them that same space, and the change that we see there, and we try to provide parents with support when they come for parenting sessions. So in the case of dissolution, we'll often get either one parent wants the children to go for counseling and the other person doesn't want it. We need to settle content. And it's always, it's not about you. It's not about, oh, I'm right, you, oh, I think my children need counseling. So it doesn't have to be about the other person. So it doesn't have to be about blame. All it is saying that we recognize that our children need help and we need to support each other to make it easy and possible for our children to get that help. So it doesn't matter that whether I initiated counseling or he initiated counseling, that if we recognize it, and it does no harm for children to be assisted and supported through, even if the counseling is necessary, then giving support and cooperating and being part of that process. So we often get couples where the one doesn't want to give consent, or the one, because we're so angry with each other, I will not sit in a room with the other person and all of that. Yes, I recognize there's a lot of emotion involved, right? So what we would do in instances like this is then we would do parenting separate for a little while only. So just so that each of them are in a space where they can recognize that, you know what, if we work together, it will be in the interest of our children, and then bring them together. But I'm encouraging and I'm urging parents out there who are divorced to recognize that it is in the interest of your children, and then surely you can put your own differences aside. We don't step into the marital issues when we're dealing with parenting sessions. We deal with parental issues that go we can have a about the fact that the maintenance court and the family court are two different. No father can be denied time with his children if he doesn't pay maintenance. And I know that doesn't feel compromised. It's the responsibility. Yes, the father has responsibility to his children. I shouldn't try through the maintenance court to access maintenance, but at the end of the day, they two different processes. One doesn't have anything to do with the other.
And that's what I wanted to say. Absolutely. And I think many parents, when a divorce happens, we confuse that. So if the father is not paying maintenance, then we assume automatically the father has lost the right to interact and engage with his children. And as you've correctly mentioned, that please, parents out there who are listening, or those that you're finding yourself in a situation where a separation or a divorce unfortunately is imminent, please understand you'll need to learn the processes. A maintenance court and payments of maintenance is a separate structure, and access and parenting plan is a separate structure, and they're not dependent on each other or interdependent. Maintenance, you have to pay it, but that's got whether a parent defaults on maintenance has no bearing on the parenting plan and access, because the that access, if the maintain and if that's withheld, then the child loses out. It's not so much the parents not losing out, the child loses out. So I'm so glad you brought up that key factor, because I think that is the leverage. Sadly, a female is also placed in that situation, especially if they were not working on that. And in order to upkeep the family unit, you require finances. But we need to understand the law and recognize the law that maintenance and access is two different functions, and they're independent of each other. Sister Anisa, as always, I do enjoy our talks and discussion, especially since it's always very empowering in terms of parenting, overall parenting. Jazakallah so much for your time, and inshallah, we are going to chat to you in the new year now.
I mean, but sorry, Sister Miriam, I just want to differ on one particular thing. When you say that the children lose out and the parents don't lose out, I'm going to beg to differ and say that parents do this
No, no,
because they compromise.
100%. But what I'm saying is, that is leverage and punishment for whichever parent is due to pay that maintenance. But the thing is, sometimes you think you're punishing the father by not allowing the excess, but actually we punish the children by not
Yes,
allowing that access to the children. So that is what I meant. Yes, the parent definitely uses out, but it's aimed at chastising one parent there, but we don't
definitely.
realize that chastisement then transfers onto the children. And it also creates a whole, as you know, a whole lot of other psychological and emotional issues come to the fore by that action there. I want to thank you on behalf of Educational Insights and a whole team here at Inspired Afternoons. In fact, from the whole Salam Media team and family, Jazakallah for this whole year that you gave up your time so generously throughout this 2021. I know when we said January, we were also excited for the year, and I can still remember here in studio. In fact, even when you came on the 1st of March, little did you realize that our lives are going to be pivoted and the lives as we know it will be no more. But Alhamdulillah, one constant that we had was every month, Sister Anisa was there with your said advice when we were going through difficulties in terms of the kidnappings that came to the fore. You were brilliant in terms of the tips and advice you and the counsel you offered parents. In fact, very, very practical tips that you offer to parents. Alhamdulillah. And yes, I'll be on a sabbatical from 24th, I think 23rd May, December will be my last day, and then we'll come revitalize, inshallah, in January. So, inshallah, let's chat first week in January. We'll see you.
I mean, that sounds good. Jazakallah for acknowledging that, we all, I think yourself, we all here in do it for the pleasure of Allah and for the benefit of our Ummah, and may Allah accept all our efforts. And we trust and we only hope that everybody who listens in will benefit and use the information positively. Inshallah, we can see positive outcomes from the Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're going to go for a break, and then we are putting special focus on 16 days of activism, but we focusing on high school learners as well as FET learners who find themselves in difficult situations or have been victims of gender-based violence. All this with my guest, Mr. Spokesperson of Gauteng Department of Education, Mr. Steve Mobana. I'm speaking to a representative from Sonke Justice as well as N. Isaacs from the University of Cape Town. Let's go for a short break.